This particular morning, I woke up with breathing difficulties. And when my parents saw me, they said they got to take me to the hospital. We went for the appointment with the professors, and the professors in Singapore said, Paul and family, you need to come to terms with the fact that Paul will be on the wheelchair for the rest of his life. Growing up, I loved playing football, I loved cars, I loved a lot of things that young boys love. I loved going outdoors and I also loved playing video games. My life was going normal until I was 11 years old in 2009. That is when I had a complication in the surgery. The aftermath of the surgery saw me eventually becoming bedridden. First I wasn't able to walk, then I wasn't able to stand, then I was not able to sit down or lie down. So I was placed at a 45-degree angle. Now whenever I tried to stand or sit, the right side of my body would have gone into spasms. Spasms are involuntary movements of the muscles, and I basically was paralyzed on the whole right side of my body. Growing up in Batu Gajah near Ipoh, we went to doctors in Ipoh, Penang, Kuala Lumpur, and even Singapore, and looking for medical help, professional medical help all over Malaysia and Singapore. We could find no cure. One particular morning when I woke up, I had difficulties breathing. Now if you recall, I said I had spasms on the whole right side of my body, and these spasms also affected my throat. So whenever I tried to eat or drink, I would regurgitate. But this particular morning, I woke up with breathing difficulties. And when my parents saw me, they said they got to take me to the hospital. They took me to the hospital. The doctor admitted me in the intensive care unit. And for 1 week, I recall, whenever I closed my eyes, I saw this pitch black darkness. A darkness darker than any darkness I had ever seen before, and any darkness that I've ever seen till this very day. In that particular week, when I closed my eyes, I saw this pitch black darkness. The intensity that's greater than any darkness I've physically seen. And when I saw that darkness as I closed my eyes, I knew that I was dying. I knew that my body was failing me. I knew that complications were coming one after another. Fast forward to a year later, in 2011, on the feast of Our Lady of Fatima, 13th of October, my grandmother, who was my family's spiritual pillar of strength, passes away. And I remember I was so angry at God for taking my grandma away. And for nights upon nights, I used to shout at God, why did you take my grandma away when I need her the most, when I'm bedridden? A few months later, 24th December 2011, we went for the appointment with the professors, and the professors in Singapore said, Paul and family, you need to come to terms with the fact that Paul will be on the wheelchair for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. This was on Christmas Eve 2011. Now we went back home, it was a blue Christmas, very sad, very down. All hope seemed lost. On the 31st of December 2011, my family brought me for Holy Mass, and they placed me on the left wing of the church in Batu Gajah, St. Joseph, Batu Gajah. This is where the tabernacle was placed. And as I was glancing at the tabernacle, Jesus in the tabernacle, at that time I didn't know, it was just a box. There was a kind of exchange happening between Jesus in the tabernacle and me. And I was feeling irritated, I was feeling agitated, I was feeling hopeless, I was feeling powerless. But as I experienced something happening, I looked to the tabernacle, and above it was the statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And I said, Lord, I do not know how to pray. Do whatever you want. In that same moment, my parents who were sitting in the pew right next to me, I was on the wheelchair, so they were in the pew right next to me. My parents prayed this in their heart, and I found out later, Lord, we do not have the strength to carry on. Either heal our son or grant us the grace to carry this cross. The very next day, New Year's Day 2012, at 3:05 p.m., when I closed my eyes, I saw this bright divine light, a light brighter than any light I had ever seen before. This light was the complete opposite of the darkness I saw when I almost died. And when I saw this light, I knew without a single speck of doubt that this was Jesus in dazzling white. And in front of the layer of light was my late grandmother, who passed away a few months earlier, 13th of October 2011. She placed her hands on my head, and when I opened my eyes, my hands that were clogged like this for 2.5 years opened up, and the pain that I had in the whole right side of my body just lifted off me like a day. I stood up, I kicked the wheelchair that was right next to me on the bed and said, enough. Now I'm walking by the grace of God, by the healing power of God. I went to the altar and I made a firm resolution in my heart to the Lord in response, in gratitude to the Lord for the great act of healing. I made a firm resolution, Lord, today I have encountered your love in my heart, and I want to share your love, Lord, with everyone across the face of this earth. I want to share your love and your good news to the ends of the earth. This world is lacking the love of God. You and I can rebuild the church by first rebuilding our inner selves. And when we are filled with the love of God, the love of God can become so contagious that the people we witness to out there will have a stirring of the love of God in their hearts for the first time.